Lewmar quick release anchor brackets. Show you how to install them. When you get your Lewmar quick release mounting bracket for your shallow water anchors, inside the box there's going to be one of these right here. This is the top mounting plate. You're going to need that. There's going to be another one that looks just like it. This is the bottom mounting plate. You're going to need some instructions. Nobody reads those. They'd rather watch a video. I'm making this video now. And there's going to be a bag of hardware that you're not going to know where it goes because you didn't read the instructions. But luckily for you, we've got a video to show you where it goes. And then, most important of all, we have the quick release bracket. We'll show you how to install all this stuff. So here's an up-close look at the mounting bracket itself. It is not directional, it's universal. You can run it like this. This can be the up position, or you can turn it like this. They have holes drilled on both sides, so it does not matter which way that you orient this, it will work just fine. Now, to mount this to your boat, you are going to need a special bolt. As you can see, it has this nice little recess right here, and that recessed area fits just like that, and that leaves a nice flat surface for the quick release mount on the actual anchor itself to slide into here. Buy your shallow water anchor or quick release brackets from Tiny Boat Nation. We actually have this as an option when you check out. You can buy the hardware that you need for your boat. But if you want to buy these from like Ace Hardware, Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, something like that, this is the kind of bolt that you're going to need. Now, if you're mounting this to your transom, I highly recommend a thick washer and a lock nut to go on the back side of the transom when you go to install this, just like so. We're actually going to be installing this today on an offset mount, so we're going to be using a little bit shorter bolt. That's why this one doesn't look very long. If you were putting this in your transom, more than likely you're going to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 inches is the bolt length that you're going to need. You'll just have to measure your transom and figure out which length that you need for your particular boat. Now, what you cannot use is a typical hex head bolt like this. What happens is, it might be a little bit difficult to see, but the hex head actually protrudes out from the mount just a little bit, and that will interfere with the shallow water anchor sliding in this quick release bracket. You do not want that, so do not use any type of hex head bolt or anything like that. Not only is the mount universal in up and down, also is the top and bottom parts. They are the exact same cut, they're the same size and everything, so it does not matter which one of these you use as the top or bottom. The first step for the installation is going to be actually assembling the bottom. So I'm just going to take one of these, line up the holes. You're going to get a washer and a stainless Phillips head bolt, and those are going to go just like this. I would not use impact or electric tools on this if you can help it. This stuff is aluminum and you can strip it out. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in by hand first, and then I'm going to use a large size Phillips head screwdriver to put these down nice and tight. It is recommended that you use some Loctite on these bottom 2 bolts only. Since this is just a demonstration, I'm not doing that today. So once you have the bottom piece bolted on, it's time to go take this over to the boat and get it installed. Now, if you're mounting this directly to your transom, wherever it is that you want to mount this, it's super simple. Just hold this up, make sure it's nice and straight, mark your holes, drill them, and bolt it in. It's that simple. But the install we're doing today is just a little bit different. We've got 2 offset mounts, one for each side of the boat. These are actually made for Raptor talons, and they fit these quick release brackets perfectly. And it gives it a little bit of offset, so when the anchors deploy, it gives a nice wide stance. So I'm just going to finish bolting this up real quick. Nothing terribly crazy or difficult about this. Now, I noticed in the video this thing probably looks twisted. It is not. The bracket is flush and straight on the boat, but the Raptor mount has slots built into it, so you can turn this thing and make it as level as you can. So that way when the anchor deploys, it actually goes straight down instead of down and out like this. You want it to go out and straight down. And the next step is just to slide this anchor into place. Just like that. When you go to install this top plate, you'll notice that there is a smooth side of the plate, and there is a side of the plate that has a recess and a little hump right here. The recess and the hump is actually the down spot. That's what's going to go up against this part of the mount. Same thing on the bottom. You'll notice that little hump and the recess is facing up towards the mount. I'm going to hold that in place. I got my washer and my bolt. I'm going to put that on just like this, and we'll go ahead and start it by hand and just kind of get it in there loose for now. And we'll install the other one. Now, as I'm tightening this down, you're going to notice that there is a gap right here and right here. That gap is supposed to be there. So when you're tightening this down, you'll notice that gap is not going to close a whole lot. There's still going to be a gap once you get done tightening this down, and that is so that the mount is sandwiched in between here and here, and that gap is what allows you to do that. And that's what keeps these things from lifting out. is that gap allows you to squeeze all this together. You do not want to put your spacers inside here. This is definitely not the correct way to mount this. You do not put the spacers in between this bottom cap, and you do not put the spacer up here in between the top cap. And you do not need to put any Loctite on these two bolts up here on the top. The whole point of this thing is for it to be quick release. If you were to Loctite these two bolts, more than likely you're going to be busting out like a 3-foot breaker bar and a torch to get these off, and that's kind of defeats the whole purpose of the quick release mount, because that's not quick. So no Loctite up here, only Loctite down on the bottom. I would recommend checking these bolts every couple of trips out to the lake just to make sure that they haven't loosened up. You will notice there is a slight bit of play in this anchor mounting system. It's not up and down play, it's a little bit of side to side play. They designed it that way. That is so that you can quickly remove this thing if needed. If the quick release bracket was machined with really tight tolerances, it could be potentially really hard to get in and out, which again defeats the purpose of the quick release mount in the first place. So a little bit of side to side play is not a bad thing. It's supposed to be that way. Up and down play you do not want. If you can pick this thing up and it moves, you probably need to tighten these down a little bit further. It's a pretty simple install process, not overly complicated, and doesn't take a lot of tools. You can use these on either the Vector manual shallow water anchors or the Axis electric shallow water anchor. Now you may be thinking, how do I get an electric shallow water anchor to be a quick release? It's got cords and stuff, right? When they designed the Axis, they made a built-in quick release plug that has plenty of cordage to it so that you can mount the receiver box anywhere inside the boat and still be able to quickly disconnect it, undo those top two bolts, and you can pull the entire Axis shallow water anchor off the boat for storage. Or if you need to get your boat inside of a garage that has not very high ceilings, these may hit, so you use this quick release system to lay them down inside the boat when you're in storage. If you have any questions, let us know, and if you want to see more videos on the shallow water anchor, you can click this link right up here.